Imagine this. You wake up one day to find the most manipulative person you know, the one who lied, schemed, and stepped on others without remorse, celebrated, wealthy, and powerful. Meanwhile, the kindest souls you've met remain overlooked, struggling, even broken. The world, it seems, has rewarded the worst among us. How? Why? This isn't just an observation. It's a gnawing paradox. We're told virtue leads to success, that goodness is its own reward. Yet history, politics, even our daily lives whisper a darker truth. The ruthless often rise while the principled falter. Is morality a handicap? Is power reserved for those willing to abandon decency? The question cuts deeper than envy or outrage. It forces us to confront the unsettling possibility that the rules we've been taught, work hard, be good, play fair, might be illusions. Worse, it makes us wonder, have we been fools for trying? But what if the answer isn't about good versus evil? What if it's about something far more primal? Something Nietzsche called the will to power, a force that doesn't care about morality, only dominance. And what if, buried beneath our outrage, we're secretly drawn to those who seize power because they embody what we're too afraid to admit we want? The truth is closer than you think, and it begins not with judging the world's villains, but with unraveling the lies we tell ourselves about how the world really works. The shadow game, how the ruthless exploit human nature. The answer lies not in some cosmic injustice, but in the raw mechanics of human nature. Friedrich Nietzsche saw it first. Power doesn't flow to the good or the evil. It flows to those who understand its rules. And those rules have little to do with morality. Consider the tyrant, the fraudster, the charismatic manipulator. They succeed not despite their ruthlessness, but because of it. They exploit a fundamental truth. Most people are sleepwalking through a moral fairy tale. Society preaches cooperation, humility, fairness. Yet beneath the surface, evolution has hardwired us to respond to strength, aggression, and dominance. The worst people know this. They play the game as it actually is, not as we pretend it should be. Carl Jung called this buried instinct the shadow, the repressed, animalistic side of human nature that civilization tries to tame. But the taming is an illusion. The ruthless thrive because they embrace their shadow, weaponizing impulses others deny in themselves. Meanwhile, the virtuous often cripple themselves with guilt, hesitation, and the need for approval. Nietzsche went further. Morality itself is a power struggle. The good values, kindness, meekness, self-sacrifice, were, in his view, a psychological trick invented by the weak to restrain the strong. But the strong, the truly dangerous, see through the lie. They act while others hesitate. They take while others wait for permission. This isn't just philosophy, it's psychology. Studies show that dark triad traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, correlate with short-term success in competitive environments. Why? Because these traits bypass empathy, fear, and doubt, the very things that slow others down. But here's the twist. This isn't inevitable. The game isn't rigged. It's just misunderstood. The worst people succeed because they exploit a system most never question. But what if you could play the game without becoming them? That is the real rebellion, and it starts by seeing the world and yourself without illusions. The infection of power. How corruption rewires the world. The deeper tragedy isn't that the ruthless succeed, it's that their success infects the rest of us. Like a psychological virus, their dominance rewires society's expectations, bending reality until their behavior seems not just acceptable, but necessary. Think of the workplace where backstabbers get promoted, the political arena where cruelty earns applause, the culture where outrage and manipulation drive engagement. Each time someone exploits the system and wins, the system itself mutates to reward exploitation. The rules corrode, the bar lowers, and slowly, imperceptibly, the world becomes a place where only the worst versions of humanity thrive. This isn't just unfair, it's unnatural. Biologically, humans evolved for cooperation as much as competition. Yet modern power structures amplify the darkest traits while punishing trust and reciprocity. The result? A collective disillusionment, a quiet despair in those who refuse to play the game but watch others profit from it. Even worse, this dynamic distorts desire itself. Studies show that exposure to unethical winners doesn't just breed resentment, it normalizes corruption. When the worst people keep winning, the unspoken lesson is clear. This is how the world works. Adapt or lose. And so, the cycle perpetuates. The principled either grow bitter or surrender. The ruthless inherit the earth. But there's a flaw in their victory. Power seized through manipulation is unstable. Psychopaths rise fast but burn out. Tyrants inspire fear, not loyalty. And societies built on exploitation eventually collapse under their own rot. The worst people seem to succeed, but their success is a pyramid scheme of the soul, trading long-term meaning for short-term control. Which leaves us with a terrifying question. Is this really winning? Or is there another way, one that doesn't require becoming what you despise? The third path, weaponizing integrity against a broken system. The escape begins with a revelation. You do not have to choose between being a predator or prey. There is a third path, one that transcends the false dilemma of morality versus power. Nietzsche called it self-overcoming, not the rejection of strength, but the mastery of it for something higher. History's most enduring figures, those who wielded influence without becoming monsters, understood this. They played the game, but changed its rules. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with discipline, not decadence. Viktor Frankl found freedom in the depths of a concentration camp by refusing to let his captors define his mind. Socrates drank hemlock rather than betray his principles, knowing his death would immortalize his ideals. Their secret? They weaponized integrity. The ruthless rely on the predictability of human weakness, fear, greed, vanity. But those who break free turn their own codes against them. They cultivate unshakable values that make them immune to manipulation. Strategic patience, knowing systems built on exploitation inevitably crumble. The ability to reward cooperation so fiercely that it outcompetes treachery. This is not naive idealism, it's biological. Evolutionary game theory proves that in iterated interactions, long-term cooperators outperform short-term cheaters. The trick is surviving long enough to find your tribe, your arena, your leverage. You won't change the world by becoming like those you hate. You'll change it by becoming something they cannot comprehend, a person who cannot be corrupted because your power comes from within. The silent victory, why real power can't be stolen. Here is the silent earthquake beneath all power struggles. The worst people do not actually succeed. They merely acquire wealth, status, dominance. These are facsimiles of victory. But real power, the kind that outlives its wielder, has always belonged to those who master meaning. The tyrant is forgotten, the philosopher is quoted for millennia. The fraudster dies rich and alone. The artist dies poor and worshipped. Nietzsche's greatest insight was that all human striving is ultimately a quest for significance, not control. The ruthless mistake the map for the territory, believing that accumulating external validation, money, fame, obedience, fills the void. It doesn't. That's why the corridors of power echo with quiet desperation. The deeper their hollowness, the more violently they cling to their trophies. Meanwhile, the truly powerful, those who define success on their own terms, operate by a different law. Their worth is self-determined. No amount of external validation can crown or dethrone them. Their influence compounds. Ideas outlive empires. Their legacy is inversion-proof. The harder critics attack, the more they immortalize the message. This is why history's losers often win in the end. Socrates, Galileo, Van Gogh. The game was never about seizing power. It was about becoming the kind of person power cannot corrupt. So when you see the worst people succeeding, remember, their victories are rentals. Their admiration is projection. Their reign has an expiration date. While you're playing a different game entirely, one where the only thing that matters is who you become. And that cannot be taken from you.